This is a clip from the Cannon podcast. To hear the full episode and get access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.
George, Alex, get off the fence, take away the splinters, and actually set a way to be clipped. Everybody in the comments.
Me get off the fence? Me? How dare you?
Do you see this hosting responsibility has got to his head? But we are going to set our markers, obviously, for preseason. And it's with the caveat that, we have yet stuff to play. There's still some stuff to go on. Personally, and not to sit on the fence, I do enjoy having the transfer deadline as being the final of my predictions. But early predictions, post-US, what are your at least expectations? Because I think those don't change regardless of window. I think the reality and feasibility could change as the window is open. Things could, in theory, still change. But what are your expectations for the season? And what do you think this team needs to do? I think, ironically, I'm going to be a little bit harsher, more than people think. But what are your expectations for what this team needs to achieve at this point?
Yeah, I'm glad you've split them up, because expectations and predictions are distinct, and they should be distinct. Yeah. Expectations, we are good enough to be in a title race. To the final weeks, we are good enough to be there. Anything less for me is not what this. It's not the potential of this team to not be in a title race. I don't say I expect to win the league. That's a different thing. I don't expect to win the league. That's not to say I don't think we could, not to say I don't want to, not to say whatever. It's just the language. Please, Twitter.
He just said that he has no standards.
That's no standards FC. But that's what I say. Like, I think anything less than a title race is below the potential of this team and this management team.
Yeah.
In terms of the Champions League, this is a lot harder to know what the expectations are. I want to see us give a good account of ourselves. Like, I don't want us to go out with like a whimper. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I'd be okay if we went out to like a more experienced, like a Real Madrid and around, even if it was like early, like a round of 16 exit to Real Madrid, I think I'd be okay with, because there is that European pedigree. There is that ability to, the Kroos and Modric, how many times have they been in and got themselves out of tricky situations? We just don't boast that. I mean, how many players? We have like 4 players who played in the Champions League out of
2 of which are Chelsea X's.
Exactly. So it doesn't really count. So do you know what I mean? So I don't know. My expectation is only, I don't put a round on it for that. I'll do my predictions in a second, but I don't put a round on it for that. I just want us to give a good account of ourselves and not go back to that kind of Bayern Munich-esque, like, losing just with a whimper, with no fight and spirit. I'd hate that. Carabao and FA Cup, we should be in the final. We are the second best. We are the second best team in the league, I would say, in my opinion. So we should be in the final. Doesn't mean we will be. I'll come to that in my predictions, but that is my expectations. Yeah, predictions. Sorry, no, you do expectations, and I'll do predictions.
Yeah, no, completely. Look, for me, I expect us to again challenge very deeply in the league. I think that, like you, I will never expect a win, because I think that's incredibly arrogant, and I actually think that mentality is actually really poor. Even if you were to win, if I was in City's position, by the way, I wouldn't expect to win.
No, you can't, and that's when you lose, when you expect to win.
100%. It kind of has a certain complacency about it when you start to approach things that way. So you have to come with the idea that you're ready to compete. I do think that we've set a certain precedent, though, that has to be the last day of the season, and it has to be like a relative challenge within 5 to 8 points. I don't think anything beyond that is fair, personally. Like, anything after 8 points or 2 wins, rather, really simply, is when the league was won at a canter. For me, at least. So anything outside of 8 points, I'll be disappointed in. In terms of the domestic cup, I want to win one. I really want. I won't expect to win any trophy, but personally, I'm eyeing the Carabao Cup as something that I really want to focus on. And the reason is we ironically do very well in the Carabao Cup, but I feel like we always lose in the semis and the finals. And it's annoying. Like, I don't like that record. For me, I actually would prefer losing a cup competition early than losing in the final. Like, once you get to the quarters or the semis, I feel like you have to win it. Like, you've got yourself in a position there that you're 2 games away from a trophy. And that's the mentality that I want this squad to have. Like, I want us to become killers there. Listen, you can always mess up. You can never predict winning in every single game, but I almost feel like it's better for me to lose earlier, even though And then he says it's better to lose. So this American.
So what you're saying is this American guy,
you know,
he's Canadian.
But no, I do expect us to have a really good showing there, and I think our history of the FA Cup means that I'm not as vociferous in my statements about winning that. I feel like we have such a good record historically. I want the Carabao really much. Champions League, I'm with you. I don't think we have the European pedigree. I don't think we have for a while, personally, by the way. Like, losing out to Olympiacos, Sporting, like...
It's a different way of approaching a game.
It is. And a European game is... And by the way, this club, if I'm really being harsh, we don't have European pedigree. And so to sit there and to kind of expect us to do it is something I struggle with. One thing I want is respect, mate. That's the one thing I will say. I want respect of our players and our team again. And that kind of alludes to what you were saying. I don't want 8-2s. I don't want whatever. I personally would like a quarterfinal a little bit more. Like, I want us to get up to that next level past the round of 16. Because I want us to just break that hitch of, look, the Wenger round of 16 exit was famous. And part of me saying not being embarrassed would just to like improve, even if it's one step further by going to the quarters. And I just want our players to get the respect that they deserve. So your Saka's, your Martinelli's, like, I want big campaigns from our youngsters that we've been so, convinced of in our fan base, but fundamentally people in the broad global sphere won't until they do it on that biggest stage. So I want moments. I want us to have a moment in the Champions League. And it doesn't have to be us winning, but I want us to have a moment that we remember. And so that's kind of my expectations, at least for all 4 competitions. But we'll go to you. Now get off the fence. What exact position do you want us to be in? And why it will never change?
Yeah, it's never going to change. New information will not change this. Also, just on that Champions League thing, I think the Emirates will help. I think the Emirates is in a different place to where it was last time we were in the Champions League. Predictions. Thanks for checking out the Cannon Podcast. To get full episodes and access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.